Hey, what's up, guys? Hope you're having a good day. I think that it's probably about time again to talk a little bit about APBA card values. So I know I talked last time about some of the early 50 sets. Let's talk about some of the late 50 sets here now, and I would love to know what your opinion is on this subject. We're just going to go straight on into it, and we're going to go look over here at my screen. And as you can see here, this is from a current eBay listing for a 1958 season. I don't necessarily want to be too critical of this, but in a second, I'll just sort of let you come up to your own conclusion. So this is for the 1958 season with 16 teams, 20 cards per team, 320 total. Asking price is $1,000 from this collectible company. Yeah, let's take a look at this here. In fact, we will enlarge this a bit so you can see it. The packs look like they are in horrible condition. The box is in even worse condition. Cards look okay. At least his mantle card, I think, looks fine. Yogi Berra card also looks fine. You'll notice that there are no photos here of any double column cards, which is interesting. And there's your 1958 box, and there is the tattered up and ripped lineup sheet. Usually, actually, the lineup sheet is part of the thing that gives it a lot of value because those are kind of hard to come by. Now, you can tell, if you are new to collecting APBA cards, you can tell that these are the original packets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All 16 are there. You can tell that these are the originals because of their size, right? And you can tell by kind of the folds and the creases and stuff because that's what the original size of APBA card packets were. So like right here, you can see the cards only go here to the, only go to here for the San Francisco Giants, for example, or for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So that's what it's like. Let's go look at another one. Original 1958 APBA complete baseball season set, 16 teams, 20 cards per 320 total. I feel like I'm reading, like, is this deja vu or what? That's the exact same name of the listing. This one's for $1,195. This one I would say is sketchy because of this. We're not accepting offers. Prices are as listed. So I'm going to tell you something about this. Usually when you got a guy on eBay who's like, oh, here is the buy it now price for this, what they're usually telling you is this is like the maximum, or this is what I think like the ceiling of the price is, or something like that. They expect you to come in with an offer. If they're telling you that they won't accept any offers, my advice would be to avoid the seller because they don't know how to use eBay. I mean, I really mean that. Usually buy it now listing means that they will accept different offers. So that's kind of what eBay has turned into these days. We'll go back and check this out here. So this one looks a lot better. You can tell also these are the original envelopes, absolutely. These ones look a lot nicer, really a lot nicer. And there we go. There's a couple pictures of the cards you can see here. We do see some double column cards along with single column cards. So the fact that the other guy was only showing single column cards tells me that he probably knows what he's doing. There's a chance that this guy might not know. Look at the interesting cuts here on these cards too. I'd kind of want to see some of these up close because I'm a little bit suspicious about how those have been cut on the side. And the backs look pretty nice. And why am I not seeing this photo? There you go. I don't know why we're seeing up close photo of this other than to see that, yes, it is indeed an APBA card. And here are a bunch of other ones. These ones look a little bit better without that kind of really weird thing on the side of the card. That might mean that it's been altered or something like that. I don't know why they're doing this or this because that's a sign that I guess they're trying to tell you that it's the original envelope, or it might be someone who doesn't know anything about APBA cards. I wouldn't believe that they don't know anything about APBA cards, though, because they're trying to charge this price for it. And the reason why is, I mean, it's too high of a price, honestly, in my opinion. Maybe you really want it so you can go ahead and pay $1,200 for this. But really, if you have $1,200 sitting around to buy APBA cards, you could have just bought the 53 set just the other week, right? Original. So we'll look at this one, too. This also popped up when I was looking around. APBA Baseball 1958 season original card set. Nothing tricky here. The set is complete. 16 teams, 20 players per team. This is somebody who's an APBA player. It's pretty obvious. It's a mix between crisp envelopes and some of creases, right? Original roster sheet is not included. Sets from the 1950s are hard to find. That's actually a lie. We can see that right now because we're looking at 3 on eBay at the same time. But yeah, you can see here, so the Cubs have been used a bit more. The Orioles, not quite so much. Cards look okay, but they're all written on. But, I mean, whatever. Most APBA players aren't going to care that much. Most of us are used to seeing that sort of thing happen. And then also you can see there are some double column cards. Okay, so yeah, these two are double column as well as a single column, which is fine. So that's interesting. Got me to think about, what would you expect to pay for the 1958 set? So we click over here and look at sold listings. And guess what? we don't have any complete sold listings for prior 1958 APBA sets. Isn't that interesting? Now, I'm going to tell you, do not be led astray by people who will say it's from the 50s, it's rare. If it's APBA and it's from the 50s and it's from 1957, 58, or 59, it's not rare and it's not worth as much as they're asking you for it. I guarantee, right? Even when we look at stuff like this, right? 58 APBA original season New York Yankees team set with writing. $55 is crazy, right? There's no way. There's no way that it's worth that much. If you knew how many of these sets were out there, you would never pay $56, even if it's the Yankees who won the American League pennant, right? I mean, that's an insane amount of money to pay for 20 cards, from 1958. This is not original APBA, and it's not going to go up in value. It's not. These are jokes. I would say, actually, even this auction, which is a little bit down to earth, $570, in my opinion, is far too high. I'll show you why. Here are completed listings for 1957, right? Look at this. $193 is an auction for the complete APBA 1957 set. And here's one, $65, right? But we'll take a little time out here first off. This is from the Zach Handbook. This is on the 1958 season. You can see here that double columns were introduced in the 1958 season. That means that the 57 season is the last season to have single columns. We'll go back here. And let's see here if there's any mention of this anywhere or not. The Zach Handbook has some issues, and I would say that this one definitely does have some issues. Part of the reason why I do what I do is to correct some of the problems with the Zach Handbook. And we can see that there's one here. Double columns were introduced in the 1958 season so that players who hit home runs like Warren Spahn, but not enough to deserve a 1, could hit some of them with bases empty. I mean, I kind of get it, right? But I don't think that's the actual reason behind double columns. I think that it's a little bit more complicated in terms of mathematics and trying to be a little bit more precise. In my personal opinion, maybe I'm wrong. You can tell me all about how wrong I am in the comments as you desire. So we'll take a look at these two sets here, and then that probably will be about it for today. Look at this first top one. For $193, this is probably actually a fairly good find. A little bit of staining on one of the envelopes, that's it. There is some creasing, but to be honest with you, I don't think people care that much as long as the envelope isn't falling apart, right? Because most of you, if you bought something like this, you would probably take the envelopes out and store them separately and put the cards in some sort of nice holder and put sleeves around the cards. Here is the complete set, as you can see, all single columns for the Washington Senators. And I don't know what in the world this is or why we're showing this. I guess you have a whole lot of APBA stuff. That's pretty nice. Maybe we can look at the guy's other auctions or something like that. I don't know if he was trying to auction the whole set off or not. That's a possibility. I can do some research into the seller, because if he is trying to sell the whole thing off all at once, the truth is that that would probably be the reason why the price for this is so low. But yeah, this will tell you probably around where the market actually is today for an original 57 set. So I've seen people try to sell it for $1,000. I've seen people try to charge crazy amounts for the complete single column run 1950 through 57, and they never really get it. Well, if the 1950s in it, you can probably get it, but without 50, if it's 51 through 57, you're not going to get crazy amounts. The reason why, in part, is because this 57 set is not really worth that much money. Here's another one that sold just like I showed you, $64.99. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So complete with all 16 teams and the St. Louis Browns of 1922. We'll take a quick look here at this, and these are definitely the original envelopes. This great team of the past, if you're an APBA fan, should have you salivating. These are definitely the original cards, 100%, 1957. And there's this. The one question that we have here in terms of value is whether these are single column cards or not. Because if this is the original 1922 St. Louis Browns single column, that card set alone is worth the price that they paid for it. So there you go. That's at least my opinion. Now, I'll tell you, when you go onto APBA between the lines and you start talking about card value, you get all the old guys saying, oh, it's whatever somebody's willing to pay. That's kind of true. But I'm going to be honest with you. There are a lot of guys on there who have huge collections who are trying to sell it off. There are guys out there who are wolves who are going to try to take advantage of you. Be very, very circumspect and very, very careful. The fact that you would be willing to pay $1,000 for a 1958 set does not mean that you should pay $1,000 for the set. You probably should pay something closer to like $200 if it's in really nice condition, or less than that if it's not, because there are a lot of these out there. We have 3 on eBay right now. I mean, there are 3 sets on eBay right now for very, very, high prices, but it's an indication that at some point in time in the past, somebody probably bought a set, and that's where all these guys who have their bots set up to track this stuff automatically come out and say, oh, it's time for me to try to sell mine and try to make huge amounts of money. That's why you get the jerks saying, oh, I'm not going to, talk down the price or haggle the price or whatever. It's perfectly fine. I mean, if the seller wants to, put a huge, an insanely high price on something and then just never sell it, they can go ahead and do that. They have the freedom to, right? But that doesn't mean that the price that they're asking for is indicative at all of what the actual value of the set is. The truth is that APBA sets that were printed after 1950, well, in the 57 season and afterwards, were printed in high supply. There's a lot of it out there. The supply probably exceeds the demand. And if you try to purchase these and invest in these cards, even though the 57 set is a single column set, you will find that you will end up losing money in the long term. Now, that great team of the past is different. If that is an original 1922 St. Louis Browns single column only great team of the past, that will probably appreciate, because those are really hard to find. The seller clearly didn't know that, which is why they didn't take a picture of the inside of it, right? But in general, a 57 APBA Baseball full single column set is not worth as much as you might think. There you have it, and we'll have more of these videos like this in the future. Love to know what you think. Bye-bye.